Networking is the most underrated skill today. And I think especially living in such a digital world where it is easier to text, to email, to Slack, to Teams.
Yeah.
We're losing some of these people skills, including
Totally.
networking. But I can honestly say that both in my corporate careers and now my own business, it has been very reliant on people.
Yep.
Welcome to The Profitable Cleaner, a podcast on commercial cleaning sales and entrepreneurship.
Well, thank you for joining me here today.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
I won't lie. I've out of 200 plus episodes, I've maybe done 3 intro calls.
Really?
Yeah.
Did you need to test me out?
No, you asked for the intro call, so I was just like, show up and hopefully it's not like weird, you know?
Well, and I'm sure you understand, first of all, how fun to be part of such a professional podcast.
Yeah.
I've done other podcasts that are not nearly as professional or experienced. And sometimes if you don't have a little bit of an intro,
Totally.
or they'll throw wacky questions, or it's just so
Yeah.
choppy, and it's like, oh,
Yeah.
that's obviously not ideal.
I might throw some wacky questions.
I'll
so-
allow it because
It'll be in flow though.
Okay.
It'll be
All
in
right.
flow. Well, for those that don't know who you are, and they should, I guess, Heather, welcome. Tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do.
Oh man, well that's a loaded question to start with, James, but
I can make it more loaded if you want.
let's hold off.
Okay.
We'll wait. We'll ease into it. I am super excited to talk today because I know that we like thinking about some of the same things: entrepreneurship, leadership. We're both sales people at heart.
Yep.
And I've just had a wild career journey, to be
Yeah.
honest. I've had a few different careers at this point, and I think some common threads between them. But essentially, my undergrad was in journalism. I graduated from college, moved to Montana, became a news anchor. That was
Nice.
my dream at the time. Did it on TV every night, burned out very quickly, and
Totally.
realized this isn't what I want to do for the next 30 years of my life. I was also going through a lot of faith change at the time and had some personal interests and passions. I moved back to Colorado. I went to seminary. I got a master's degree in spiritual care, formation, theology, and had the goal of becoming a chaplain, which I
Okay.
did. I've worked at several churches. I've been a worship leader. I've done the chaplaincy. That also burned me out in a different way very quickly, right? Sometimes when your passion becomes your vocation,
Yeah.
double-edged
totally.
sword. From there, here's where it gets really wacky. I had a friend who was an engineer at a cybersecurity company. He knew the time I was, mid-20s. He knew I was searching. He said, hey, I know this isn't on your radar, but we have a new hire program for potential salespeople. Send me your resume. I'll throw your ring in the hat. So I sent him my resume, and sure enough, they flew me out to New York. I'm in front of a panel. They said, Heather, you know nothing about technology, but you have the personality for sales. If you sign on with us, we'll teach you everything you need to know. That was almost 13 years ago. Cybersecurity has been an incredible career for me, but it is one of the most volatile industries.
Yeah.
I've been through layoffs. I've been through just toxic workplaces and culture and leadership. Just dealt with a lot in 13 years. Also learned a lot. About a year ago, I went through a layoff, my second layoff. And at that point, I was really frustrated. I felt like maybe I had thrown away the last 13 years of my career. I decided at that point in time, A, I needed a little bit of a break, but B, I had already started doing some work for myself on the side. What would happen if I went all in on myself for a while? Let's feel this out. I've got some runway. I've got some excitement, some motivation. James, that was a year ago.
Nice.
It's been a really cool first year of solopreneurship, entrepreneurship, but now I work for myself full time, and I'm still figuring out what that means every day.
Well, welcome to it.
Thank you.
Yeah. No, I think when we initially talked, one, we have a lot of similarities in our background,
know.
which was kind of funny.
Right?
I wasn't a news anchor, but I was the cheesy traffic and news guy on the radio.
You get it. You
So I
know that world.
totally get it.
Yeah.
And like yourself, found myself in a sales role,
Yeah.
and then love sales.
Yeah.
Because I think great salespeople have a passion for people.
Yes.
And a passion for problem solving.
Yeah.
And I never really feel like I'm selling anything.
Right.
Like, does that make sense at all?
It completely makes sense. And I actually think that the best sellers are not the really aggressive, you know the
The
stereotype.
hard closers.
The hard closer,
Yeah.
the sleazy,
Yeah.
car salesperson. I don't know. That has never worked for me
Yeah.
either. And I also agree with you. I wouldn't have been able to sell full time for 13 years if I didn't actually connect with the people that I was interacting with day to day, right? Clients become more than just clients, coworkers become friends. And if you don't have something underneath the selling,
Yeah.
you're going to burn out on that too. But I agree. I think we do have that in common.
Yeah, totally.
It's connection at the end of the day.
1000%. So there's a few things kind of doing. I don't really even research my guests all too often coming on here, but I'm like checking out your Instagram profile, and something caught my attention that I think is really important to talk about, and I don't think it's talked about enough, which is negotiation.
Yes.
And you have a lot of content around negotiation. My favorite book of all time, if you haven't read it, and if you haven't read it, it's called Never Split the Difference.
Chris Voss.
Chris Voss.
Yeah, of course.
Almost hired Chris Voss as a speaker. Just wouldn't come down on price a little bit, but
You need to practice your negotiation
Exact-
skills.
I couldn't even get to Chris.
I would
So-
never go up against him, though.
Yeah, exactly. Would it be crazy if I asked you to be a speaker? How he does his
Right.
thing. Talk to me about what made you so passionate about negotiation.
Yeah, I'm glad you asked because I'm still very passionate about it. A lot of things have led to that, but negotiation coaching is actually how I launched on my own as an entrepreneur,
Awesome.
really just as a side hustle. I was still working my 9 to 5, and
Yeah.
well, sales is not 9 to 5,
yeah.
you know that, but I was still working full time in cybersecurity. And I had just been through a lot of my own things at that point, and I had learned to negotiate for myself. My very first contract was in news, and at 22 years old, I went to the president of our ABC Fox affiliate and said, "That's not going to work for me."
Yeah.
And guess what? It worked. So
Yeah.
that kind of turned me on to,
Yeah,
hey,
sure.
there's something to this, not just negotiating for the sake of pushing, but advocating for yourself, for other people. And that's the passion underneath it for me. So that has morphed over the last several years into a lot of colleagues, friends, and now the public who are saying, hey, I feel taken advantage of in corporate America. Hey, I know that I got a lowball salary. I don't know how to approach this.
Yeah.
So I started by just coaching people through their own job offers, severance packages, talking through alternatives to salary. And that quickly grew into more. It's been super fun because I get to incorporate my sales experience,
Totally.
right?
Yep.
And so going from negotiating 7-figure deals to helping someone negotiate a salary package, I think what a lot of people fail to realize, it's a lot of the same principles.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And so once I realized that and honed in on it more and also understood the need in the market, right?
Yeah.
We're thinking as entrepreneurs, but also just the need as humans. People need more advocates. I don't know. That just
Yeah.
kind of turned into a thing.
I love it because I think it's so niche. And really, like a guy like Chris Voss and the Black Swan Group, like they're like the only influencers or thought leaders. I put them as a thought leader
Yeah.
more so in the negotiation realm.
Yeah.
So what would your like word of advice or message be to maybe like business owners or leadership teams that listen to this? Like when it comes to negotiation, like what are some things you think everyone should know?
Yeah. From a business perspective, I think one misconception is that negotiation has to be super scary and hardcore, right?
Totally.
A lot of people, even your audience, they might hear negotiation. They think one of two things. The first is like SWAT team, hostage, negotiators, life and death. The second is like Shark Tank, billionaires and
Yeah.
companies on the line. What if it's neither? What if we approach every single deal, contract as, yes, a negotiation, but this isn't life or death? And if you can remember that, even though our businesses are our babies, there's wiggle room. The more calm you can be, the better you'll, right? It's not as high stakes as we make it out to be.
Yeah,
You can
well
kind
said.
of do this everyday negotiating thing. And I think that's actually important for people listening to think about. Negotiation is not a one time event. There is a skill set that is involved and that you can improve upon. But the more you incorporate this into your everyday language and interactions, the easier it'll become. We're doing this in our
Yep.
relationships. We're doing this purchasing our own products and services, right? Maybe
Yep.
you negotiated your phone bill, your
Yep.
internet bill last month. Same principles, same ideas apply. And then the last thing, there's so much we could talk about when
Sure.
it comes to negotiation,
Yeah.
but one really important one from a business perspective, especially if you are negotiating with a client and you're talking about services or products that you are offering them, you still have to have the mindset that this needs to be a win-win
Totally.
situation.
100%.
Of course, we want to advocate for ourselves, but you've got clients to keep happy, you've got a reputation to maintain, and ultimately you want to advocate for them too. Otherwise, you wouldn't be in business. So I think that's probably ultimately the most important mindset.
I think it's well said. I was one of those people years ago that thought negotiation was win-lose.
Yes.
Someone won, someone lost.
Right.
And I remember a guy named James Altucher, really underrated entrepreneur out there. Good book, Choose Yourself, Guide to Wealth. Great book. He talks about every negotiation needs to be a win-win.
Yeah.
So if it's not a win-win, then it's not a true successful negotiation. And then when you start realizing you're negotiating all the time in your life. I negotiate with my kids like all the time.
Right.
Like all the time I negotiate with my kids.
When's bedtime? What are you eating for dinner?
100%. And then you're negotiating with your employees. You're negotiating with, potential salary raises that you may or may not give, bonus structures. And then you're negotiating contracts with clients. And oftentimes, and I know people listening to this can relate, I will give you a quote for whatever service, and the client will come back to you with, hey, can we revise this to be this? And then you have to make the decision, I'm accepting of that or I'm not. And if I'm not, then how can we find a middle ground?
Yeah.
So I love the fact that you're big on it. And I think you're right. It shouldn't be a negative word.
Right. And it shouldn't be a fearful thing. And that's something that I've taught my clients over and over. The worst that happens is you hear no. Why is the word no such a scary word to us? Is it a rejection fear? Is it like, what is so terrifying about that? Once you can get over that fear, okay, no usually doesn't even actually mean no.
Absolutely.
That wasn't so scary.
Yeah.
Moving on, figuring out the next path forward.
Exactly.
That's negotiation.
It's like Chris Voss says, no is actually a defense mechanism that you're like softening like the blow of like whatever news you're giving to them. Like their objective is actually to get their client to say no.
Right. Because the faster you get to know, the faster you can alter your plan, your direction, and figure out how do we get to a mutual yes.
Yeah, because it's not just no and then the conversation's dead.
No.
It's no, but.
Right.
No, and.
And also know why.
Yeah.
I think a huge part of negotiation and something that I really learned as a journalist, you get it, is asking really good questions. Another misconception about negotiation is that it's you coming at them, you delivering a message, you speaking what's going to happen,
Yeah,
probably going to backfire on you.
totally.
But if you are using this as an opportunity to understand, well, why is it a no? Well, is it really a no? Well, what alternative would be acceptable to you? Well, how does this impact your business and bottom line? Oh, I didn't know that. Great. Now I do. Now we've connected. All started with good questions. So that's another huge part of negotiation that I think sometimes people can miss.
So underrated too. I see a lot of sales teams ask very basic questions.
Yeah, basic
Like, what are your
discovery.
challenges? It's like, well, fuck, man, we all have challenges. Where do you want me to start?
Personal or
Yeah,
professional?
exactly.
What's up, my profitable cleaners? Listen, you guys know that running a cleaning business isn't just about cleaning. It's about growth, trust, building a legacy, and making true impact. That's where Swept comes in. With Swept, it's simple, powerful. It's an app that you can track your cleaner attendance with geofence clock-ins, streamlined processes, team communication, and save hours on payroll. It's the ultimate tool designed specifically for janitorial businesses just like yours. Take control, save time, focus on what matters most, growing your business and spending time with your family. Swept. Clean better, grow faster. If you guys are interested in Swept, click the link below in the show notes and partner with one of the best in the industry.
And I'm not saying don't ask or learn what their challenges are, but oftentimes bad questions comes from a lack of listening.
Oh, yeah.
And I think listening goes into the negotiation, goes into the sale, goes into just the general communication, and it's a lost art. I'm curious, you have 13 years of like this awesome sales experience. I think the best salespeople become they kind of go down a leadership journey, personal development journey. I have no clue, but it seems like you've done a lot of work in that realm.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
I think that's a compliment.
Yeah,
Thank
that is
you.
a compliment. Absolutely. Talk to me about just where you now get that self-leadership, that what you do for personal development, what you do to keep you.
That's a really good question. I'm glad you asked it because even I have made the mistake of glorifying the outcomes without recognizing the work that goes into getting those outcomes. That's true of business. That's true of our relationships. That's true of self-work, right? It's been a long journey. I think for many years now, maybe even, 2 decades, I've been thinking, I've been feeling, I've engaged in therapy, I've tried different things. Friendships have changed, romantic relationships have changed, careers have changed, right? So I've been exploring and asking myself questions for a very long time. But there are some specific things that have really gotten me to this point. Number one is faith. Right? I mentioned I went to seminary, I became a chaplain. And regardless of your faith perspective, I think that, again, asking yourself, what do I believe? Is there a God? What do I think about XYZ is super, super important.
Yep.
Right?
I agree.
Sometimes the journey through that is more important even than an ultimate outcome. So that has been really foundational in my life and something that I continue to pour into, something that I continue to consider part of what powers me through really hard seasons, really good seasons. Other things include even development through the careers, right? Figuring out whether it's through trainings or I've had my own coaches and mentors, finding those people, finding those resources to help you figure out, what am I really good at? Okay, between news anchor, chaplain, and cybersecurity seller, what are the common threads there? Because there are. Okay, those are the things that define me, not a job title, not a salary. How do I do more of those things that light me up and that can light other people up? So that's been a discovery. More recently, in the last year or two, I've been really focused on physical healing. Some of it is as simple as, fitness, health. I'm in my late 30s now. I need to really be thinking ahead and staying healthy. But more than that, I'm talking about nervous system
Hmm.
health. The burnout thing is real. I've encountered it over and over again. Why? How do we address some of these things that take a toll on our bodies that are maybe a little deeper than fitness? So
Yeah.
that's been a big one for me.
Let's actually talk about that for a minute,
Yeah.
because, oh man, I feel like my nervous system has been wrecked from business before. Whether it's payroll, whether I used to get so emotional when we would lose an account,
Yeah.
like a client, it
Yeah.
would
You take it so personally.
take it so
Yeah, you're
personally.
crashing.
And now it's like I get like a cancellation on an account, and it's like, man, I hope they're doing well.
Yeah.
It's just the
What a
nature.
shift,
Yeah,
though.
what
So
but
you've done some of your own work on
yeah,
that.
I think it was probably just sick and tired of feeling sick and tired
Yeah.
about worrying about everything. But that's interesting. You say like attention to your physical health in terms of like your nervous system. Talk to me
Mhm.
about that.
I really crashed about a year ago. And leading up to this crash, I had been bouncing in and out of nervous system issues that were truly manifesting in health problems, mental health problems. I experienced real depression, real anxiety, real psychosomatic symptoms
Hmm.
throughout my body, hormone fluctuations. Being in such volatile industries like cybersecurity, like entrepreneurship in general,
Totally.
it if you are not careful, the years will just compound, and before you know it, your nervous system is crashing.
Yep.
I hit that point and it was like freeze. From fight and flight to freeze.
Yeah.
I was not functioning very well. I had also been through a really tumultuous year through personal relationships, physical health things, laid off by
Yeah.
my full-time job. I decided at that point that even as a businesswoman, money is never the ultimate goal. If we're
Yep.
not healthy and happy, money doesn't matter. I decided at that point, I truly need a break. That means a break. I'm not job searching. I know I'm going to try this thing on my own, but I'm not searching for new clients right now. I'm just going to maintain status quo and just kind of survive and try to heal. That was hard to accept, especially when you're built to go, 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 right? That's even worse for our
Yeah.
nervous systems long term.
Yeah.
Even though there's something good about having drive and motivation, it can turn on us if we take it too far.
Absolutely.
And so, continued to pour into my own healing through therapies. I was open to a lot of ideas, whether that was medication or a retreat or, a spiritual book. I just was so open to how do I calm this thing down? Because if I don't, I'm not going to make it another 10 years.
It's weird to say when you're in your 30s, isn't
I
it?
know. It's
Yeah.
sad. And now I can honestly say a year into sort of this new approach to life and business, I feel so much better. I am so thankful that I was willing to give myself a few months of just maintenance instead of growth, because that allowed me the step back that I needed. And I am genuinely looking back now at my last, 15, 18 years of career and thinking, no wonder I crashed.
Yep.
And I don't ever want to be there again.
Amen to that.
Right?
Yeah. Well, good for you. And you just said something I think that's huge. And I want to reiterate here: maintenance versus growth. We always hear scale, growth,
Right.
10x, all this bullshit that's
Well,
out
especially
there.
as sellers, we're
Yeah,
wired to
yeah.
think, right? How am I
Absolutely.
growing the account? How do
Yeah.
I?
And it's like, it's funny, I just said 10x. Grant Cardone has like classified 10x, but I just listened to one of his coaches and it was like so non Grant Cardone-ish, which I was like, oh, good hire on this coach. But he talked about literally doing maintenance on your business and on yourself before actually growing, because if you can't maintain where you're at right now, there's no way you're going to maintain any level of growth.
Right.
And it was kind of along the lines of what you just said, maintenance versus growth. And I don't think we focus enough on we're always maintaining. We make it through each day, however we make it through. That's maintenance right there. But are we being intentional with our maintenance? And the answer, at least for me, is not, not often.
Right.
And what happens, what's the next phase of life actually bring to you if you focus on making your current phase the best version of it right now?
I love that thought because I agree with it. If the foundation isn't there, and again, this applies professionally to our businesses, but also personally to
Totally.
our lives, our bodies, our spirits, our minds. If the foundational pieces aren't strong, why would you think that anything other than a crash
Yeah.
would happen? I think those maintenance phases, I agree, they are so crucial. And I've lived it now. After I had those few months of just maintenance, rest, reset, healing,
Yeah.
I stepped back in, immediately gained new fractional clients, immediately got paid speaking gigs. I was ready.
Yeah.
My network was ready. I felt better. And I think that speaks to people too, more than we realize. And things grew more.
Well, it's so funny. We have said this so many times on this show, but I will always go back to this, that behavior comes before success.
Yeah.
And it's like, what are you a steward of right now in your life? Because like, okay, you want $10 million. We all want $10 million. If I got
Right.
$10 million right now, am I actually being a good steward of my money right now
Right.
to show God, whatever, life, the universe, whatever you believe in, I'm going to call it God, that I can be a steward of the next level.
Yeah.
So what behaviors am I doing now, although I desire the outcome?
Yeah.
And I think we live in a society of outcome-based, like addiction
Mhm.
almost.
It is addiction. And again, especially types like us, if I dare
Yeah,
say,
go for it.
it's adrenaline addiction, it's dopamine addiction. These are back to some
Absolutely.
of those very real scientific nervous system
Yes.
things. It is addiction. Two things are coming to mind based on what you said, though. I agree that so much of what is considered successful and successful outcome comes from things that were happening long before.
Yeah.
One that pops into mind for me immediately is integrity. That is a big one. And people don't think about that because it's not a hard skill, right? We don't think of it as a business skill, but I can say that for my own life and my own business, part of the reason I'm now starting to see success is because I have operated with integrity in my former workplaces
Yes.
and with the people that I've
Yes.
interacted
Yep.
with. Reputation matters, integrity matters. And the second is network
Yes.
matters. If you don't
Totally.
put in the work for your network, you're not going to do as well. That has been instrumental for me. And we're talking a decade or more of building some relationships that I still have today that know me, that trust me, that have seen me work with integrity, that will refer me into clients,
Yes.
speaking gigs, whatever it is.
All right, I know you guys are wondering, how can we keep our cleaning crews engaged and informed and it doesn't have to feel like a struggle? With Team Engine, you can now automate messages, update teams in real time, and bridge language gaps with their built-in AI-powered translations. Whether it's scheduling, last-minute changes, or sharing critical updates, Team Engine keeps your workforce connected and productive. Say goodbye to miscommunication and hello to smoother operations. Visit teamengine.io to get started today.
I love that you said that. It's funny you said that actually. I just went to like the gas station 30 minutes before this podcast, and this random thought popped in my mind that goes along that, which I haven't thought of for years. So I used to have this fear of if we met and we did business together, business does not always work out.
Right.
Actually, my awesome producer, Jay, we've done business, and some of the business we've done together has not worked out.
Yeah.
But we're doing business together again. I used to have this assumption that if we did business together once and it didn't work out,
That's it.
that's it.
Yeah.
Right. And fortunately, I've learned over the years that you don't always bat 100.
Yeah.
And if you just do the right thing, even with your network, going back to that, and you handle yourself with integrity
Yeah.
and honesty when things don't work out, you often will get a second, maybe even a third or a fourth chance. And the thought I had, I remember it was like, maybe it was like 2020. I didn't really I made my first batch of real money in 2019.
Okay.
Okay. And I remember thinking like, oh shit, like I can only win.
I've made it.
Yeah,
I'm doing this.
Such a dumb idea.
Right.
Such a dumb thought. The second I had that thought, I lost. Let me just start there. But I remember calling so a year had passed after selling my business, and things were starting to normalize in my life. And although I didn't have like this big batch of money that I had, things were still well. Business was still good. COVID was going, didn't matter. Things were great. And I remember calling my financial advisor one day. He's a good friend and mentor of mine now, ironically enough. And I remember saying, Ken, do you ever feel like no matter what happens to your business, you'll be okay? And he was like, yes. And I'm like, I've realized if my business burnt down today, God forbid, I can go to my network.
Yeah.
I could get a job tomorrow.
Yeah.
And I'm blessed. A job that's probably in the top 10%.
Probably gonna pay you
Yeah,
well.
exactly.
Yeah.
Right. And I don't even have a high school diploma. Like I'm so blessed from my network.
Yeah.
But it's like, so I don't know if you've ever felt like you're just surrounded by such good people that like, ultimately, when you think of it, can you actually fail?
Right. That's a really good thought. And I agree. Networking is the most underrated skill today. And I think especially living in such a digital world where it is easier to text, to email, to Slack, to Teams.
Yeah.
We're losing some of these people skills, including networking. But I can honestly say that both in my corporate careers and now my own business, it has been very reliant on people.
Yep.
That I know. And I think you also hit on something important to highlight. Soft skills in general, that's part of the reason you know you're going to be okay. Whether we want to call them soft skills or not, the fact that you have known how to network and maintain good, trustworthy working relationships, that's soft skills. The fact that you could work your way back into a company if needed and get a six-figure job and quickly adapt to corporate timelines and pressures, that's a soft skill. So it says a lot about you as well that you feel that confident, that you know you're going to be okay. And I feel that way too.
Yeah, good.
For a lot of reasons. Some of it's faith.
Yeah.
Some of it, again, regardless of what you believe, I hope you believe in something bigger than yourself to anchor you, right?
Yep.
My identity is not in my business. My identity is not in what I'm doing day to day. So that helps. But also, I agree. If in another year we're sitting here and I'm like, James, it didn't work, I'm okay.
You're okay.
I'm okay.
Yeah, absolutely. And when you take the I can only win mentality, even just like for the most simple things, your perspective on any challenge really shifts quickly.
Back to negotiation.
Yes.
It's the same principle.
Totally.
Get rid of the fear. Okay, you hit a no.
Yeah.
You hit a stumbling block in your business. It's kind of the same thing. I can only win.
Yeah.
And especially by helping others win, finding the mutual wins.
Yeah.
What? Come on.
Yeah,
like that's
exactly.
success.
Do you know where the word network comes from?
Where?
This is going to be crazy.
Oh.
So I have an old co-host on this that he would always break down words.
I love it.
And so network, I don't know the origin, right? But basically think about you going into a room, you casting a net, right? You grabbing people and then you're working it. So like that
makes sense.
Yeah, right? Like
that makes sense.
Network. So like you're literally casting a net and then you're working those relationships.
But that is true.
Yeah.
That's how it works, right? I even think about when I'm posting content on LinkedIn, right? I'm casting a net, and the people who are interested in that content and in my particular skill set,
Yeah.
maybe they want to learn about negotiation, maybe they want to learn about sales, maybe they run speaking events. My net grabs those people,
That's
and
exactly
from
right.
there you go even further and find the few relationships out of that are gems
Yep.
that you want to build, that you want to grow, that you want to work.
Yep.
And that's how you grow your network.
What's up, Profitable Cleaner listeners? Quick question for you. Are you using 5 to 7 different platforms just to manage the everyday operations of your commercial cleaning company? If so, let us help you consolidate that into one platform. Introducing you uSource. Go to usource.com, book your free demo today, and actually get started on your trial for 60 days. No charge for 60 days, all from time and attendance to reporting, vendor management, operations, sales. It's time you stop using 5 to 7 platforms and consolidate into one. So listeners, don't forget, go to usource.com and start your account today.
Yeah.
I love that.
So it's kind of funny. You have brought up a few key points that we just like recapped the top 10 lessons that we've learned on this show over 200 episodes.
Wow.
And you've mentioned a few, and you talked about your identity's not in your business.
Yeah.
And how you had this burnout and you hit this phase of needed maintenance and rest and all of that. I'm going to ask you something that's really deep.
Okay.
But this was the 10th lesson that we learned.
Okay.
I feel like I need to ask this. What do you want your last hour to look like?
My last hour
Yeah.
on earth.
Yeah.
I know that I want to feel love. I want to be surrounded by love. And for me, that, yes, includes people, but transcends people and involves love from what I would call God. Feeling secure in that, being able to confidently close my eyes and know that my life had some purpose, that even the really seemingly hard seasons mattered. I think that's love. I think that's a sense of I've been loved. My life has been loved. It's hard for me to articulate that.
Yeah.
It's a feeling.
Yeah.
But that feeling involves peace and a real sense of well-being, maybe even joy for what's coming next. That's the best that's the best answer I
pretty
can
damn
give you.
good.
I don't know how to.
Pretty damn good. I've actually never asked that question on the show. Although that message and conversation has came up a lot.
Yeah.
The reason I asked that is because none of what you just said had an identity in business.
None of it.
Business is an important thing. It's not everything. I don't care what the Instagram influencers say. I don't care about what LinkedIn makes you feel like at 8 a.m. on a Monday morning when you're getting bombarded with all the
Right.
raw content. It's like we have to double down on who we are to really create something awesome.
Yeah.
And some of that does include work.
Yeah. Our work matters.
Yeah.
And we should do good work.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we should aim for bigger and better things. But I agree with you, James. At the end of the day, in that last hour, is it going to matter that you hit $1 million in revenue? Is it going to matter that you negotiated the biggest deal of your life? Or is it going to matter that you helped other people along and you did the best you could with what you were given and that you poured into yourself and others in the best ways you knew how to create a life full of love and purpose and meaning?
That's right. Yeah, you get it. You totally get it. Totally kind of taking a hard left here. I am curious
Well, every question's going to be easy
yeah,
after that.
yeah, I told you I would ask some weird shit
No, I
on
love
this
it.
show. Who do you look to and learn from now?
Hmm.
I mean, we talked about Chris Voss.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's others, but I'm curious, like, who do you go to for, and I say mentorship, not meaning you have to know them,
Yeah.
but like just for your information.
You know what I've really been thinking about a lot for myself? There's a difference between the mentors that you aspire to be, maybe the Chris Vosses of the
Yeah.
world. I love Shark Tank. I love the sharks.
Yeah.
Barbara Corcoran, I think she's awesome.
Yeah.
Difference between those types of mentors and teachers and the mentors and teachers that are maybe 5 steps ahead of you.
Yeah.
Those have been really important to me in this stage of my life. As I am in a position where I now lead teams, teach others, whether that's through workshops or going into cybersecurity startups and helping them build a revenue organization, I still need leadership, education. I'm still learning the ropes. I'm still figuring it out as I go. The people who have been most impactful for me in this season are the people who are a few years ahead of me.
Yeah.
The people who can give me really, sometimes very tactical advice on running your business, finding clients, invoicing appropriately. Because as you
Yeah,
know,
totally.
at this stage in business, I am the CEO, the CFO, the CRO, the CMO,
Yeah.
right? And that can be lonely.
Yeah.
That can be overwhelming. And so finding real world
Yeah.
mentors and teachers who are bigger and better than me,
Yep.
who are doing things that I want to do, but who are still real people.
Yeah.
I am gravitating toward them. And thank God they're kind of gravitating toward me too. It's just working out really well. I think partly because I've been very focused on finding that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's well said. I don't think, I think that's something that's overlooked is we always think of mentors as someone that's achieved like the extraordinary,
Right.
whatever your definition of that is. But man, if you find a real world mentor that's a few years, maybe a decade ahead of you,
Who's actually doing it?
You'll find out that they're willing to give back.
Yeah.
Because the most successful people make themselves useful and I believe have a servant mentality.
And they also don't identify just
Yeah.
with the business metric. That
Yeah, exactly.
They also want purpose beyond their business.
Yeah. And they understand the importance of service and like good people. So if you're a good person, they're going to want you around in some capacity. I think that's really overlooked. And now that you say that out loud, it's probably why I've gravitated towards business partners.
Yeah.
They're, a few years, maybe a decade ahead of me. And that's really, really powerful. And going back to that, what would your advice be to someone like looking for that mentorship? Like, how does that come into your life? Like, how do you find those people?
Again, your network matters a lot. And so many of the people I've found have been through other people who may not even be involved in my line of business, my industry, my interests and passions, but they know someone who is. Let's take this podcast as an example.
Yeah.
James, you and I having mutual contact who thought, oh, entrepreneurship, leadership, sales, these two should talk.
Yeah.
And I'm so glad because now we're having this awesome conversation. But that is a great way to start finding those real world mentors. Vocalize what you're looking for. Talk to your current colleagues. Hey, do you know anyone who has started a business in this arena? Hey, do you know someone who's investing in real estate? Do you know someone who's had this life situation? I don't know, whatever it is for you, start vocalizing that you are looking for that. And if you've done a good job of networking up to that point, networking will help in that area too. If you haven't built out your network, I think events can be a great way to find people. And I do mean sometimes those are local events, right? Here
Absolutely.
in Denver, showing up to, hey, this is the SMB gathering. We're going to a brewery,
Yeah.
meet other people who are doing small, medium-sized business. Or, here's a group specifically for revenue leaders. If you are a revenue leader in your organization, show up to this meetup. That's a great way to build the network that you need, but
Yep.
also to meet real world people who are involved in your particular lines of business, passions, interests. So those things have worked for me. The last little bit of advice there, don't pursue somebody who's not actually doing things you want to do. Because we have a finite amount of time, energy.
Yes.
That goes for the mentor you're seeking, but that goes for you too, especially if you're running a business, building a great career, whatever is going on in your world. Make sure that if you're really pouring into a relationship or asking someone to pour into you, that they are a person you would want to follow.
I think that's, yeah, exactly. You have to be careful where you get your influence and information from.
Yeah. Because that can go awry.
Yeah. Oh, really fast.
Right? And that can affect us in ways beyond business too.
Yeah.
Back to the
Yeah.
integrity thing, back to how do we really feel about our
Yeah.
purpose and our identity. If you've got someone really speaking the wrong things to you or influencing you in the wrong ways,
Yeah.
that can take a lot of undoing.
100%. I'll tell you, the best local networking event I went to recently was literally like the smallest chamber of commerce event.
Really?
Yeah, it was like a free coffee meetup. Actually had a podcast guest from it who was awesome. And I was like in this room of 12 people and all of them were great. And like, we're already starting to see some connection from like 1 hour of coffee with like this small little chamber of commerce event.
Talk about ROI. I
Yeah.
mean, that's
Are you kidding
what a
me?
great payoff.
Yeah, exactly. So it doesn't have to be hard.
No.
It was 9 a.m. on a Friday.
Yeah.
You're done by 10, and then you walk out with 12 new connections. And it's funny, I actually saw one of my, going back to doing business that doesn't work out, I saw an old client in there that he didn't even know he did business with my company. It's right before I sold it. And it was just like the worst job we've ever done for this guy. And I saw his company name and I went up to him. I said, "Hey, I'm the former owner of Go Edison." And he goes, "Oh man, so you're James?" I said, "Yeah." And he goes, "So nice to meet you." He's like, "I know it didn't work out, but you guys always handled everything so graciously."
Wow.
And it was just like,
Well, that's a good outcome.
absolutely. Absolutely.
I wasn't
And
expecting the
yeah.
story to go that
No, no,
way,
no.
but
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
great.
And so this guy lost a lot of money with us. I don't know I'm just being real. And what happened is we like connected on LinkedIn. We've gone back and forth on messaging. What are you doing now? How can we help? And
Yeah.
who knows if we ever do business regardless, but
Sounds like you could.
yeah,
The door's open.
100%.
You didn't burn a bridge.
Yep,
Which
exactly.
is fantastic. And again, probably because you had integrity even while
Yeah.
the project wasn't working out.
Yeah, 1000%. All right, I need to ask you about this because we spoke about it on our intro call, which we should have recorded that on Zoom.
I know. We had a good.
Yeah, we had a good call. I think I told you I was talking about really the janitorial industry.
Yeah.
Primary audience here, facility leaders, and how great I think the industry does at highlighting really strong female leaders.
Yeah.
And so I guess I want to get that on record because maybe I haven't said that enough. And you were kind of like taken back by
Wow.
that. And I know that you're passionate about like just like female leadership and advocacy. And it sounds like that was not common in the world you either come from or came from.
Yeah. First of all, I am really wowed by some of what you shared with me in the professional cleaning industry to have maybe 40% of these business owners being female.
Yeah.
That's incredible
Or
to
in
me.
leadership roles.
That's
Yeah.
incredible to me because you're right. Unfortunately, I have not been in worlds where the statistics are that
Yeah.
great. And truly, in all of my careers, I've been outnumbered. And some of that's okay, right? I chose to go into broadcasting. I chose to go into pastoral work and chaplaincy. I chose to go into technical cybersecurity, but these are all male dominated or male favored fields. And part of the reason I'm so passionate about advocating for women in leadership is because it took a long time for me to be able to put words around what was wrong. I knew very early in my career, I've always had a deep sense of justice. And I knew when there was injustice.
Yeah.
And I knew when I
Yeah.
was being treated differently or in the wrong ways. I knew when something was off, but I think I was still too naive to be able to articulate it and certainly did not know what to do with that. I was
Sure.
still growing my skills. I was still gaining experience. I had a lot of fear. I didn't speak up, right? Even though communication is
Yeah.
the bread and butter
Yeah.
of what we both do,
Yeah.
I was afraid to use my voice because I didn't want to be the one with the big red X
Yeah.
on her file with HR. So part of the reason this has become a big part of my platform and ways that I mentor other women now is because I experienced it firsthand. Real story, in one of my cybersecurity companies, I was 2.5 years in. I was so far above quota. I was winning awards with clients, with my company. I had my biggest W-2 sales year. I mean, it was going really freaking well. I hadn't had a raise in 2.5 years. I started asking questions that maybe the company didn't want me to ask, but because I had built such great rapport with my male colleagues, right? I was the only woman on the team, outnumbered. That's fine. I didn't think too much of it. But I started asking them, hey, when's the last time you got a raise? Hey, would you be willing to share, what's the range of your package? Did you get equity? I just started asking. They were willing to share, and I learned that I was making $40,000 to $60,000 less
Jeez.
than my male
That is
coworkers.
substantial.
That's real.
Yeah.
Anyone who says that gender discrimination and wage gaps don't exist, they are uninformed, they're uneducated, or maybe they're part of the problem. So if you can't tell, I feel very strongly about now helping others because, I've encountered discrimination like that firsthand and repeatedly. I think that certain industries are worse than others.
Yeah. Yeah, of course. Well, holy cow, man.
I know. Isn't that?
Yeah.
I don't love telling that story because it's a hard story to tell and to hear, but I kind of do because
Yeah, you should
this is
name drop the
actually
company.
right. This is NDA signed,
There you
right?
go.
Some things happened,
Yeah.
but this is real.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate you speaking up about that because I'm not saying that it doesn't happen in the facility services industry by any stretch, because I think discrimination in multiple regards happens across the board.
Sure.
But I will say there are some like leaders of leaders that are female in this industry. So people are going to listen to this. They're going to reach out. Hi, Heather is not for hire right now. So I just
Maybe fractionally. We can talk, right?
Fractionally. Absolutely. Maybe to wrap up here, tell us what you do for your clients right now.
Yeah, so I do work fractionally, primarily with startups, and I go in and I help them build out their go-to-market strategy, their revenue organization, maybe hire an initial sales team, help them transition from founder-led sales into more team sales, launching more into enterprise selling. So that's a a big chunk of my revenue, I also am growing more and more on the speaking circuit. It has been so fun. So I go to conferences. They hire me to teach on negotiation, soft skill and career development. I run workshops. I train sales teams. I'm doing all of the things that I love and incorporating my experience over the last 15 years. And now I'm making money with that. It's so great.
Good. So what's next for you?
Oh, that's a loaded question, right?
Well,
What's next? I definitely want to keep pouring into what I've built in this last year. I've surprised myself with how quickly things have grown.
cool.
Right? And
cool.
and that feels so good. So at some point, personal goal is I want to not just make up, but exceed my best W-2 year in
Nice,
corporate.
nice.
So that's next on the horizon. Personally, I'm dating. I'm trying to
Nice, there
find
you
the
go.
right guy.
Yeah.
I'd love for that to be part of the
Yeah.
future, and balancing personal,
Her
professional.
DMs are closed too, by the way.
Yeah, maybe I
Yeah.
shouldn't say that on this podcast,
Yeah.
but it is the truth.
Yeah.
Because as I've learned, part of preventing burnout really is balance.
Yeah.
If all I'm thinking about 24/7 is growing my business, growing my business, growing my business, I don't want to be back in that place.
Yeah.
So yeah, I got to balance that with
Nice.
some fun stuff.
I got to ask you a question actually on that because, okay, what is dating like in today's world? I mean, you said you're in your 30s.
Yeah. Oh,
Okay,
James.
like I haven't dated since I was 24.
You don't want to.
No, fuck no. And I'm not going to, fortunately, but like back, like when I'm 36.
Yeah.
So like Tinder wasn't even around.
Right.
Like there was like eHarmony if
Yeah.
you wanted, like, but I was 24. I was
Right. I'm not.
it's like I got a 6-pack. I don't need that. So what is it like? I've wondered, and I guess I'm going to take the opportunity,
Please.
what it is for like people in their 30s or 40s dating now.
It's really hard. And I would dare you to find one person in their 30s and 40s say otherwise.
Yeah.
It's hard because it feels like the pool has narrowed, right?
Sure.
A lot of people are already married,
Yeah.
have families, and that's wonderful.
Yeah.
It just means that there aren't as many
Yeah,
of us
totally.
left. On top of that, to find someone that you are compatible with, to me, that's 4 areas: physical, mental, emotional, spiritual. To find someone from that pool of 30 and 40 somethings who you're compatible with in all of those areas makes it even more difficult. Dating as an entrepreneur, when my time is taken, my schedule is weird, my lifestyle is different, that adds complexity. Dating as a Christian and someone who is
Yeah.
invested in her spiritual life and her healing and her growth, come on.
Yeah, totally.
And last thing, the dating apps in general, digital age in general has made everything worse. Remember earlier when I said, hey, even in business, we've lost a lot of these human
Yeah,
skills.
totally.
It's even worse in dating. You've got people who are still hurting,
Yeah.
trying to heal,
Totally.
who are reliant on texting, who are afraid to make real connections, who maybe can hide behind their phones and they don't know how to act in front of you in person. Just the digital
That's
complexity
crazy, man.
of human connection. So it's rough out
All right,
there,
I got
James.
I got 2 more follow-up questions about this. Is it weird if someone like picks up the phone and calls you? Like, let's say you guys exchange numbers. Like, I hear, like, because I have these nieces that are in high school.
Right.
I have cousins like that are in their early 20s.
Yeah.
And beautiful girls, all
Yeah.
this. And she's like, if a guy asks for my number, he's a effing psycho. And she's
What?
like, yeah. And I was like, what?
So that's
like,
a
how do you guys-
generational thing.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering because I was like, how do you guys communicate? She's like, Snap, Instagram. And she's like, if he does get my number, if he calls me, it's like, block him.
I disagree with
Okay.
that.
Yeah.
I think some
Good.
of that is a generational gap, maybe
Sure.
20s compared to 30s.
Yeah.
Maybe that makes it feel a little different. But some of it is me and my preferences too.
Totally.
I'm a communicator, and while I don't expect my partner to communicate in exactly the same ways I
Right.
do, I know well enough to know, because I even teach this to
Yeah.
teams, right?
Yeah.
You cannot build real connection, real emotional depth, real intimacy
Yeah.
through texting and
Yeah,
messaging.
exactly.
It's supplemental, but that can't be the foundation. So, number one, for any ladies who are out there in my situation dating, be careful who you give your number to, right?
Of course.
It takes a little bit of messaging back
Of
and
course.
forth, but yeah, if I feel like we're gonna go on a first date, I'm okay giving you my number. If it gets really weird, I'll block you.
Yeah,
That's fine.
totally.
If I give my number out and someone calls me, I would 100% answer. If I couldn't answer
Yeah,
in that
of
moment,
course.
I would call them back. I would be
But it
excited.
it wouldn't be a turn on.
No,
Yeah, yeah.
I love a man who
Yeah.
takes initiative to communicate. Even
Yeah.
voice notes are better than constant texting,
Yeah, totally.
right?
Totally.
So there are ways
Yeah.
that we can use our tech well, but no, that wouldn't freak me out.
First time I've ever talked dating on this podcast.
Welcome to
So
my
funny.
world.
We've talked a lot of things. We've talked death, divorce, but never dating. All right, last thing. I keep seeing this on Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it. Are guys literally not approaching girls in public anymore? Like, this is a real epidemic.
This is a very real
No
problem.
shit.
And I mean, first of all, I can't tell you the last time someone approached
Of
me at
course.
a coffee shop
Yeah, of
and
course.
said, "Hey, I like your smile." Like
Yeah.
that just doesn't happen
I
anymore.
mean, it does take a lot of
It takes a
balls.
lot of guts.
Yeah,
I get
yeah.
that. And so I don't completely blame men for
Sure.
that. However, it's making it really difficult to meet people in the wild,
Totally.
to meet
Totally.
people organically.
Yeah.
And here's the problem. The very few times that I have, it again typically defaults to texting,
Yeah.
to this false sense of connection and intimacy, because
Yeah.
I think that, I'm going to say it, men more than women
Yeah.
are out of practice
Totally.
when it comes to just like this
Totally.
human
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
dialogue,
for sure.
right? It doesn't have to be weird.
No, it doesn't have to be weird
So,
at all. Yeah.
yes, I think it's a real issue.
Well, I think there's a lot to translate from dating to sales, actually.
I love
I've
this.
never actually even
love
said
this.
this. I dated a lot before getting married, and
Okay.
I actually think it really benefited my sales game, if
Yeah.
I'm being honest.
Yeah, how?
Because like I wasn't afraid to pick up the phone or follow
Fear of
up.
rejection, gone.
Yeah, of course. Like that. I mean, it sucks way worse getting rejected in the dating world than it does in the sales world,
Yeah.
right? But if you like just following up or
Discovery.
discovery,
If my
exactly. That's
date
well
isn't
said.
asking me
Yeah.
good discovery questions,
Exactly.
I'm
Well
kind of
said.
turned off.
Yeah,
Same
yeah.
in sales. If you're
Totally.
asking super generic,
Yeah.
fluffy, I don't
Yeah.
actually want to get to know the client and their business problems,
Yep.
you're probably not going to get the sale.
Totally. And then when I see all the top performing salespeople or companies that sell really well, business is still all done over the phone.
Yeah.
It's like pick up the phone and call me.
Yes. The emails, the
Yeah.
LinkedIn
Like
messages,
those
maybe
are
even texting.
those are supplemental. Yeah, I love that you said that.
Exactly. I think that's the way humans should communicate. Here's our supplemental digital stuff. It still matters and
Yep.
it can still help foster connection, bridge gaps, but we can't be reliant on
Yeah.
those things in business or in dating.
Yeah. Well said. Where can people find you, Heather, if they want to follow you, date you? I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Now you've got me
No,
laughing. That's
But seriously, like I was really impressed with just your approach to communication, sales, and just,
Thank
I think
you.
just business in general. I think there's a lot of value there. And I know that there's a lot of companies that are going to see this that could benefit from what you do. So where could people find you? We'll link
Awesome.
everything in the show notes. So
Yeah.
you don't have to be like www.
right.
Yeah,
Good.
I've had people like
I
spell
won't
out
do
their
that.
emails
Yeah.
on this show. It's like, we got you, but yeah, where can people?
So James will put everything
Yeah,
in the notes.
That's right.
I'm very active on LinkedIn and I love growing my network. I actually love connecting. If you send me a message, I will respond. That's where I do a lot of my work and even just post stuff about events that I'm joining.
Yeah.
And so LinkedIn is a great one. Find me there. But yes, I have a website, Instagram is
Yeah.
more like fun content, but I do talk
You
negotiation
do. That's where I
there.
heard it. Yeah.
Salary negotiations.
Exactly.
That's more for, people who are in situations, even younger generations, where they're more comfortable with, hey, so Instagram, LinkedIn, website, you'll find
Yeah.
me.
Hit all the links
You'll
below.
find
Hit
me.
all the links below. And then do you work with clients all over or is it just local?
Oh, no. The great thing about my work is that I'm remote. So I travel, right, depending on the needs, but I'm typically based here or on the road, and I'm on calls with my clients. I'm calls, not texts,
Yeah. There
right?
you go. There you go.
So no,
Not
it's
DMs.
remote. We're all over the country.
Cool.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
I think you'd be an awesome speaker potentially for our 4th event, Dallas, Texas, Q1 2026. So maybe
I will see you
have Heather there. We have to negotiate.
That's right.
But thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you for having me. This was genuinely fun.
Oh, I'm glad.
Yeah, loved it.